In the year 1347, a fleet of Genoese ships arrives in Sicily. Aboard them, an invisible enemy. Within 5 years, it will kill 1/3 of Europe's population. Entire villages vanish. Fields go fallow. What if the Black Death never happened? What kind of world are we living in now? This is the high medieval world, not yet modern, but pregnant with possibility. And then, the plague arrives. But if we remove this one catastrophe, the consequences ripple everywhere. Without the plague, the status quo endures. Feudal lords keep their peasants. Labor remains cheap because people are abundant. There is no sudden bargaining power for the working class. In our real history, the labor shortage after the plague forces lords to pay wages. Peasants begin demanding rights. Cities gain power. Feudalism cracks, and capitalism begins to flicker. But in this alternate world, feudalism entrenches. Peasant revolts like the English Rising of 1381, they likely never happen. Why revolt if your life hasn't changed? Instead of wage labor, Europe remains a patchwork of rigid hierarchies for centuries longer. In our timeline, the plague resets the chessboard. Suddenly, there's more food per person. Wealth is redistributed. Inheritance accelerates. The church loses credibility, and people start asking dangerous questions. This intellectual upheaval lays the groundwork for the Renaissance. But in a world without plague, the thirst for humanism, science, and secular knowledge slows. No plague means no disillusionment with the church. No disillusionment, no reformation. No reformation, no enlightenment, at least not on schedule. Human progress doesn't stop, but it crawls instead of surging. By 1600, Europe might still resemble medieval Europe, while other parts of the world catch up or pull ahead. Let's look east. In 1340, the Islamic world, from Cordoba to Baghdad, is the intellectual center of the planet. Medicine, astronomy, mathematics, it all flows from Arabic texts. But then, the plague ravages the Islamic world too. It hits Cairo, Damascus, Persia. The devastation mirrors Europe's collapse. Remove the plague, and that collapse never comes. Baghdad regains influence. Trade with Africa, India, and China intensifies. China, too, was devastated by the Black Death. It may have killed up to 50 million people in the Yuan dynasty. No plague, China's economic momentum may continue unbroken. Zheng He's treasure fleets never stop sailing. A China that doesn't retreat inward, but dominates the Indian Ocean, and maybe crosses the Pacific. In this world, the West may never discover the East, because the East never stopped expanding. Here's the twist. Even without the plague, European exploration eventually happens, but not for the same reasons. In our world, the plague weakens feudal bonds and empowers monarchs. They centralize states, raise taxes, and fund expeditions, like Columbus's in 1492. In a plague-free Europe, fragmented feudal states may lack the central power to launch overseas missions. The age of discovery could be delayed by decades, or even centuries. When contact with the Americas finally occurs, it may come from a different direction. Perhaps the Islamic world, riding high on centuries of trade, makes contact first. Or China, sailing farther and faster than before, reaches the Pacific coast. The result? An entirely different first contact, and perhaps a very different fate for indigenous civilizations. The Aztecs and Incas might never fall to European steel. They might fall to someone else, or they might survive and modernize. Now, let's consider the demographics. Without the Black Death, Europe's population continues growing, unchecked. By 1500, it could be over 150 million. By 1800, far more. But here's the paradox. In our timeline, the plague indirectly cooled the planet. Yes, cooled. So many people died that forests regrew across Europe and Asia. Carbon levels fell. It triggered what scientists call the Little Ice Age. Without the plague, there's no carbon drop, no Little Ice Age. The Industrial Revolution may come sooner, because there's more demand, more people, more energy needs. But without the scientific revolution sparked by post-plague social shifts, we might get 18th century industry powered by 13th century minds. And that combination could be catastrophic. More people, more pollution, less science. We could face a climate crisis centuries earlier.